been a mess. Where they would have collected their dinners from here. And here would have been another building here, which would have been part of the sitting dining area. Then over here there have been drinks counters. Plus the preparation room for the food. That was the preparation area for the food. There would have been a doorway here, and this is the dining area. From what I'm getting told. Picking up Lieutenant Colonel Burt here. Is your name Lieutenant Colonel Burt? Also in Alexander. Is you a tank driver? Or is you tank maintenance? As you can see, folks, this is all that remains of a 15-man accommodation block. There's quite a few scattered around here. If you look over here, the raised platforms in the trees over here. That indicates another one. There's 3 at the back of us. And 4 along here. In the time, there would have been 15 man, and probably 2 accommodation blocks of which will have been holding females. You had the officer's mess, or the sergeant's mess, which would have been over here, the foundations of which on the stairs still stand. They would have had their own shower block, their own accommodation, and their own cafeteria, of which no privates or anybody else from a different rank could go in. It was simply for them. Another accommodation block. I believe this one would have been for the ladies. And the only way I can describe the layout is old-fashioned metal beds, sprung, and in them days metal was very limited. They used to use metal for shrapnel for building weaponry, bullets and everything else. Everything was done on site, apart from what they were getting shipped in. If you can imagine the layout of this building, square, bricked here, bricked on the ends, and bricked up to about here, and then tin over the top of it, corrugated tin. You've had halfway within the door. Now the door on this one is slightly weird because the actual doorway isn't located on a wall or on an entrance, which you would have thought is actually off to your left, which means it would have been a quarter building. It wouldn't have been fully square. It would have been sort of rectangle, ended here and then sort of cut off by here, about there. And then the foundation would have gone straight up. You'd have had a wooden door by here, and all this at some point would have had a pathway, which you can see, and a wooden door with a handle, and it would have had a lock on it, obviously. But the lock for the ladies would have been different to the males. It would have had no tag on it at all, but attached to a big ring. And that ring would only been used for the ladies' accommodation. There's one here and there's one over there, and this building would have been painted in bright colours and had net curtains on it as opposed to proper curtains. There's another kitchen area right back there, roughly about If you look through the trees, don't know if the camera can get that, there's some sort of structure by there. It looks metallic. I believe the kitchen area would have been to sit roughly about 30 people, 40 most. Very, very rationed. And it would have been set back here, which means there'd be another path connecting to accommodation block there and the accommodation block where Deborah's now stood. And I believe it to be the officers' mess. That one back there is the sergeants, because there had only been 15 sergeants for a certain different area of the transportation. This one, my friend, if you like to step out, be careful of the shrapnel, is another accommodation block. Any of you know what this one would have been for? Come here and have a look. Have a good look into the bracken and tell me what you can see.
Bushes.
Other than bushes. Can you see anything, Deb?
I'm going to walk around that fence behind there at the minute, so I'm
I can tell you this much now. Back there is a pit.
Alright.
This wasn't an accommodation block. This was the ladies'
Wash block.
washroom. And there'd have been a door here in the front, a door somewhere along here, which has probably been long washed away by now, because if you look at the foundations, it's going off slightly. And there would have been a door approximately about there, which would go exactly in line, of which a path would have gone around to your left, avoiding the pit, and going straight into that fence over there, which would have been stalls. No.
No, this is just
They
tank.
might have had the occasional plane coming just to drop supplies in, but they wouldn't have had planes here. The actual airfield would have been Bodney. As you can see, folks, the Romney is over there. Anybody that knows anything about the military would know that was your vehicle dispatch and maintenance area. And here,
because I thought that might have been a runway or something.
No, it's not flat.
as you can see, the ground is uneven. I believe this would have led on to possibly further buildings or a training area where they would have trained the troops to drive the tanks, perform live exercises, and very, very possibly had all of their dressing downs, and the sergeants would have had the troops down here talking to them. They would have been on parade and so on. In fact, I don't know if anybody can see that, right over here, right in the far distance, is a bit of a hard standing. There's about 15 men over there being dressed down by a sergeant. As I just described, information boards there as well. This is the roadway which would have connected to that road for transportation. In front, which is now what appears to be looking like a museum, this is the stalls. Also, the pathway from the shower block which would have came here. There's also more to this than meets the eye, because you've got one entrance here. You've got another one here which would have been foundations, clearly. And the foundations, you can see how wide this building was. This would have been armoury stores. And then we have this one here. Again, another great scale. And this would have been where troops would have come to get issued their clothing. Now, I don't need to tell anybody what this was for. If you walk into it, you'll hear it. time the weather has taken its toll. There's a picture. Has anybody got any idea what this is? I'll give you a little hint. Brum brum.
Vehicles and stuff, yeah.
This is where, roughly about brick wall, walkway. This would have been an office. Yeah. This was an office. There'd have been 2 desks in here. Your enrolment sergeant and your POL point sergeant. Also here, which I believe would have been directly behind here, would have been your POL point.